Hi, this is a after the fact screen recording for ciss342, and I want to demonstrate how you can set up everything that we talked about in the class. So we'll go ahead and get started with Moodle, and also the next link will tell you where to find the Debian Live DVD image. You go to power.arc.losrios.edu, and over there, go to the left hand side, scroll down a little bit if you have a smaller screen until you get to Dr. Tech's Debian Live CD, and when you click it, it will ask you where you want to download the ISO file. Just specify a location where you can find it later on and download it. After you download the ISO file, I'm not doing it right now because I don't need to, but after you download the ISO file, you can use a program to burn it onto a DVD, because most computers can boot from a DVD without any problems. So that would be a good beginning step to start with using the live DVD. If you do not know of any DVD burner program and you don't have Nero Express installed on your computer, a really good open source one is called Infra Recorder. So use Google to look up infra, as in infrared, and then recorder, and go to that website. Go ahead and download and install Infra Recorder, and then you can burn the ISO image onto a DVD. Then you can put the DVD into your computer and then start to use it. Okay, so this part at least will cover how you can download the ISO file, the live image ISO file, and burn it onto a DVD. Later on, we'll talk about how to burn it onto a USB external hard drive or USB thumb drive. But for now, we'll just do it assuming it is a part of your DVD. Now the next part is a little bit confusing, or it may look a little bit confusing, but don't let it bother you, because what I'm doing here is I'm trying to use a virtual machine to emulate the entire thing, everything that I need to show you in this example. As we have talked about it in the class, there's a chicken and egg issue, and I cannot demonstrate it without using a virtual machine. So what I would do is I'm going to create two image files, one to emulate the bootstrap device. In other words, instead of using a DVD to store the Debian Live image, you can now use a USB thumb drive to store the image. So I'm going to make the first file to just do that. So the command to do it, you don't have to do this step at all, because you are not going to use a virtual machine to run Debian Live. But I have to do it because this is what I'm doing. So we have to specify the format, which is QCOW2. It doesn't really matter in this case whether it's QCOW2 or not, because it's really just a hard drive image that we are not going to overwrite for the most part. So, but I will just continue to use this and say create. In this case, I will say well, I'm trying to think of a good way to call this particular image. We'll just call this live boot image. Okay, so live boot.qcow2, and then we specify the size of this particular disk image. 2 GB is more than enough, so we'll specify 2G here, and then we press the enter key. It's going, I got it wrong here somewhere. Use QEMU-img. Okay, fine. It's just a matter of renaming it, because I think KVM merged with QEMU again, and the official name is QEMU and not KVM. It's still complaining. I specified one of the options incorrectly, so let me see which one I got wrong. It has to do with the format that I'm using, I think. Okay. Oh, I got it. It has to do with I have to specify the format after I specify the command create. Okay, so that's the reverse of that, and that should work. Press the enter key. It's working. And if I do a ls-lh, and in this case it's called boot, nope, live boot.qcow2, and we have the file, and it has a size of 193 kilobytes. But again, you don't have to do this step. This is basically equivalent of you getting a small 2 gigabyte USB thumb drive or SD card. The next one is my persistent drive. So I will do almost the same command as the other one, except in this case I'm going to specify a slightly larger file. So this will emulate a 8 gigabyte external storage device, which will basically be equivalent to an external hard drive that has 8 gigabytes, or an external USB thumb drive that has 8 gigabytes as its storage capacity. And I also have to change the file name here, and I'll just call this persistence, because that's how I spare all my the content in the live environment. Press the enter key, and it's done quickly, because remember, qcow2 does not allocate storage or do anything on the file system unless it has to. So now that I have these two files ready, I also want to do one more thing. Let's see whether I have something that I can use for that purpose. No. So we'll go ahead and take a look here. Okay, we'll go ahead and use this. Okay. What I want to do is to emulate an actual internal hard drive, so the ordering of the letters, the drive letters, will be appropriate. So now we can go ahead and say QEMU -M512, because we'll need at least 512 megabytes. In fact, I'll give it 1 gigabyte of memory, because I'm going to run a virtual machine inside the virtual machine in this case. And then we'll specify CD-ROM to be our DebLive image. This is equivalent of you putting in the DVD that has deblive.iso burnt onto it into your CD tray. And then we'll specify the internal hard drive. It doesn't really matter which one I pick, because I'm not going to do anything with it. And then we'll specify HD. The internal hard drive, the CD-ROM drive actually takes up one of the IDE channels, and I cannot remember which one. I think HDB is still available, maybe not. Okay, I'll pick HDC instead for the 2 gigabyte USB thumb drive. So we'll go ahead and put live boot.qcow2 as my C drive. And then as my D drive, I will pick the 8 gigabyte persistent drive as my D drive. And then we have to specify where I want to boot from. In this particular case, because the live image has not been burnt onto the 2 gigabyte thumb drive yet, I have to boot from my CD-ROM drive, and the boot letter is D. And that's it. That's all the command that I need to start up the virtual machine that is equivalent of you running Debian Live natively on the PC, with the Debian Live image burnt onto a DVD. Okay, so this one doesn't like QEMU and want to use KVM instead. No. Okay, so it's complaining index equals 2 exists. That has to do with one of the drives is conflicting with the CD-ROM drive, and I have no idea which one, so we'll just go ahead and change this to HDB, and that worked okay. I'm just moving the my virtual machine into the part of the screen recording that we can see. At this point, it doesn't matter whether you start persistent or not, because we don't really have a persistent drive at this point, so picking either one will be fine. Now this part here where you see as a virtual machine is actually your physical PC, because remember, I'm trying to use a virtual machine to emulate what you should be seeing when you start this up on an actual PC. And this runs a little bit slower than what you saw in the class because I'm actually running a virtual machine instead of running it natively, and as a result it is a little bit slower than running it natively. But I can still bring up the GUI and everything else. So we'll go ahead and take a look here. And I want to make sure that it is still recording within the window. I think the last part is not recorded anymore. And I can't get rid of the title bar because that's actually causing the problem. Let me think what I should do here. I'm going to stop this particular recording and then start it again using a new video file. So I will terminate this recording right now.